All right, good afternoon, folks. I am on video two. You guys will technically be on day two watching this. So, video number two is where we create bullets coming out of the spaceship. So, what we're going to do is the way I'm going to show you is we're going to just add a sprite to it, okay? Some of you probably want to add a bullet from some other place. That's fine. I got no problem with that. But I'm primarily going to show you how to create a sprite with this, okay? It's going to be coming from a sprite. I'm going to go ahead and darken it up again. All right, let me go a little dark blue there. All right. Uh, Unity already has some sprites in here. So as you remember, we have 2D objects and sprites, and I'm going to go ahead and use either a circle or capsule. I think a capsule will look nice, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and resize this capsule to make it look about, pretty close to dimensional to what we need the ship uh, to instantiate this capsule, right? So let's go ahead and resize this about right there, maybe, and drop it down some. There, maybe a little bit skinnier. Okay, so I gotta make it look like a laser beam. Okay, so these are the numbers: scale, 0.1, 0, and zero point 0.4. Okay, next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna move it over here, so it's gonna be coming out of here, right? It's got a frontal gun, so that's a good shape. That's a good shape for it, right? I agree, because it's mine. Again, you can make it any size. You can even use the circle if you want. You can use that circle, so you don't have to make it long like that one. You can actually grab a circle and just resize it if you prefer. A circle coming out of the ship, so it's about okay, like a plasma ball or something coming out of that ship. So that's cool. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this. I'm gonna rename this. Let me see, capsule. I'm gonna rename this bullets, obviously, or a laser. Okay, because it looks more like a laser. All right, I'm also gonna maybe extend it a little bit more. That kind of looks kind of small, so I'm gonna go ahead and go a little bit larger on it. Okay, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's not bad. Then I'm gonna go ahead and change the color on it, make it look a little bit on the a little bit close to the color of the ship, So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So make it look like it's coming from the ship. So I'm gonna go with that dark orange looking color. Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so I'm gonna go with that. All right. So we know we're gonna be moving the laser, so we need to go ahead and add a rigid body. Okay, because anytime you're moving something, you need a rigid body. Okay, so physics 2D and select rigid body and make sure you always turn off your gravity. Okay, and also let's go ahead and might as well add a capsule collider. So let's look for the capsule collider right there. We know we're gonna need it, and that's good right there. And we won't make it a trigger yet. We'll go ahead and wait on that here in a little bit. And you know what, folks? I forgot I was going to start with this because a lot of you were asking me about the coding. You guys were like, hey, it's auto-populating when you start typing, and it gives you choices when you start typing in your code. And I was wondering if I can get that. So, yes. Okay, if you could pay attention, please go to Edit. You are going to go all the way down here to Preference. You're going to go to the External Tool. Okay, once you select external tools, you're going to look right here in the external script editor, and you want to make sure it says Microsoft Visual Studios. Just like mine. Most of you will probably have open by file extension. We don't want that. We want Microsoft Visual Studios. Okay, so once you do that, you are good to go. One thing you do need to make sure of is you have no scripts open. You need to close them up before you do this actionable stuff. Okay. Once you open up the Unity again by creating a new sprite or opening up a new script or creating opening up an old script, then it should take effect. Okay. So there's that. And let me see. We got the laser. We got the laser with a rigid body and a capsule collider. If you used a circle, then obviously you're going to use a circle collider. Okay. All right. So the next thing is going to be to probably make a script. All right. So what did I say? You know what? I'm going to try making this without having to create a laser code. So let me see if I remember. All right, let's go to player one, and we're going to go up top to our variables, and I'm going to create a new variable, and I'm going to go ahead and call it game object. Okay, so I'm going to give myself some room. Public game object, and you notice now, folks, how it pops up. So you guys can just double click that. And the name of the game object is going to be laser, okay? Capital A-S-E-R, and close that out with a semicolon, right? So I created a game object. We should see this pop up in our inspector when we select player. And of course it's taking its sweet time, so there it is. Player now has laser located right there. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and change my mind. That way, before we make it a prefab, I want to go ahead and correct myself here. Under the Capture Collider 2D for the laser, I'm gonna go ahead and make it a trigger, because the next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make this a prefab. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this laser, and I'm going to make it a prefab by throwing it inside my prefab folder. So now my laser will be coming from here, spawning from here, going through the ship and shooting out. Okay, not this one. This one is now blue. Blue lets you know that it is now a prefab. Okay. All right. So keep that in mind. Okay. Yellow is okay. We can close that out. So if you get that. All right. Okay, so now that we have our prefab located right here, we want to go ahead and add that prefab to the player one right here. What we're telling it is we need you to go into the prefab folder and instantiate the laser from this prefab, because if you use this one, which we're going to get rid of later, it's going to be already destroyed and you're going to get some error codes. So make sure you grab your prefab. You're going to drag it over here in the inspector for the player one. Okay, so now it knows that when we create the instantiate code, it's going to know to come here. Now we need to be able to give it some input. We're going to be using our spacebar or our mouse, depending on what you want, as our input. So you're going to go to Edit, Project Settings, and you're going to go to your Input Manager. Now, Fire 1 is what we're going to use, so we're going to go in there. Fire 1 right now is currently a left control, so we're going to change that to space. Okay, so that knows that we're using the space bar as our fire button. If you do not want the mouse, make sure you remove the mouse. You could save it for your lefties that are using WASD, and they can utilize the mouse to fire, or whatever. It's fine. I like to leave it in there. I like to leave my options open. So I'm going to go ahead and close that out. The next thing I need to do is go back to my code. Let me do a quick file save. And then I'm going to go back to my code, player one. So here we're going to go ahead and create our code to be able to instantiate this laser. and also to destroy the laser once it reaches a certain point. Kind of like we did with our last game, okay? All right, so the next thing we got going on is creating the laser. So that would be in the void update because this is where everything happens more than once, right? So we're going to go ahead and give ourselves a little message here. This is what checks for inputs from the keyboard, right? Because we are using the space bar. And this is to make bullets, make lasers. All right. I'm going to be getting those two confused. All right, so we're going to have to make a check here. So if, right, input, and that's dot get access. Nope, it's get input button down because we are looking for that spacebar to get pushed down, correct? And we are looking for the fire button, and that is capital F with a 1 on it. And close that out. Oh, sorry, it's in the wrong spot, so let me go back and close that out right there. And the solution is for it to instantiate a bullet, so we need to give ourselves the curly brackets, and we are going to instantiate a bullet, and that bullet is going to come, or laser, and we got to make sure it's capital L, laser. And where do we want it to come out from? We want it to come out of the position of the rocket. So it's transform dot position. And how do we want it to spin? So we're going to give it transform dot rotation. Dot rotation. Okay. Oh, I love it. I love the new Visual Studios. It makes it so easy. Just in case you just don't know, like, oh, you're thinking, oh, what's that word? What's that word? You just type the first letter. It'll give you some options. Makes it easier. I love it. But of course, you need to know what these are, okay, first, and then you get your recommendations. So this should take care of the firing of the bullet and where it's going to come out of, okay? So let's go ahead and take a quick look and see what we got. All right, let it go through. Clear my console with all this foolishry. Delete the one I have up here. And some of you have been questioning why my ship is so slow. I will fix that later. We're going to take care of that later. We'll make it rotate a little faster and everything. I just wanted you to first get it some movement, and I was running short on time. As you can see, I was at 46 minutes. So let me see what we got here. So, all right. So we are creating them, but now we need to push them. Okay. So they're there. As you can see, we just now need to push them out. Okay. So that's the second part of the script. Go ahead and meet me there. All right, so back into the code for the firing of the bullets. Give myself some room to separate that from there. Let me go ahead and add a note up here because I forgot to add a note yesterday. And this note is for checking inputs from the keyboard. Okay. This is checking input from the keyboard to make lasers. And this is making checking from the keyboard for movements. All right. So we want to go ahead and make a variable up here real quick. Public float, and we're going to call this laser. laser force. Okay, so this is the force we're going to use to push the the bullets, and this will send it through space. Okay. Next thing we need to do is come back here to our input. We're going to go ahead and tell it, hey, if you create this this new bullet, this is what I need for it to happen. So we're going to go ahead and change this instantiation to a game object. So we're going to type in game object, and we're going to say, we're going to give it a call name of new laser. Okay. And this is going to equal the instantiation. Okay. So that'll take care of that. And then the next line, I'm going to go ahead and tell it whenever I create a new laser, this is what I want it to do. I want it to use the force given to by the rigid body. So I need to go ahead and do a dot get component, and that is this one right here. And that is going to be with rigid body. Okay, so rigid body. Wait a minute, I don't think body was capitalized. So body, and it is 2D. So 2 and capital D. Okay, so now it knows to go to the rigid body and push it. Parentheses, and we're going to tell it to add relative force. There it is. Wow, look at that. I love this. So we're going to tell it to add relative force, and we're going to give it a direction of what relative force, what direction. So we're going to say vector 2, and it's going to be dot up. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and multiply that by the bullet force, laser force that we created. So spell it exactly like you did up there, laser force. Okay, so it should match this because this is the public float we're using. And I think that's it. All right, so now I'm going to create a bunch of them, and they're going to be shooting now in the direction that I'm pointing. I think the only problem I'm going to have is I haven't destroyed them yet. So, but I always like to make sure my code works first before I jump into the new segment. Okay, so save that. Let's test this out real quick, and let's see if our lasers or our dots are moving around. Okay, come on, come on, come on, come on. And we cross our fingers like we always do. Hit the play button. And shoot, shoot, shoot. It's not shooting. You know why? I forgot to give it some speed. Laser force. Hello. So let's start off with 100, and we will work our way up if we need to. So now our laser should move at a 100 speed. And it's kind of slow, so let's see what we're going to like. How about 200? All right, 200 is not too bad. Okay. And how about 300? 300 is a little bit better. Okay, so we're going to keep it like that. But you notice these clones are not going away. So we're going to have to add to our code to be able to destroy those after they reach a certain spot outside our field. Okay. Later on, we'll work it to where it can, what do you call it, screen wrap. So meet you at the code. All right, so here we are. We want to create a new laser, and then we've given the laser some push. After it is pushed, then we want it to get destroyed. So like we did before, there's a destroy code, right? And what are we going to destroy? We're going to destroy the new laser. New laser, okay? After, and then if we put a comma here, what we have following that will be a time, okay? Like float T, right here it shows you the object, and then you have float T. and this is the time that we want it to destroy after it has been instantiated. Okay, so let's go with 4 seconds, 4.0, and we'll float that, and we're going to go ahead and close this out with a semicolon, right? And then we're going to go ahead and test it again. Okay, what I like to do is fire from one side of the screen to the other and see how long it takes. Okay, and this number may need to be adjusted. Okay, so keep that in mind when you guys are creating this. All right, so I'm going to go to the bottom of the screen, and the easiest way I can do that is just bring my ship down. Okay, bring my ship down. I'm going to hit play. I am going to change my laser force to 300. And I'm going to come out here and shoot. And it is gone. All right, oops. All right, we got to change that to 300. All right, and I'm in the scene, so now I am going to shoot. And it disappeared right up in this area. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. Let me go ahead and stop this. Let me try another method. Change the Z to 90 degrees. Okay. My player. Nope, I'm sorry, that's wrong. I meant rotation. Rotation, 90 degrees. Okay. So now it's facing this end. All right. What the heck happened here? All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and hit play. I want to see how long it takes it to get from one screen to the other. This might be a little longer, so I might have to go with 5 seconds. And there's my, oh, I didn't change it. Okay, so let's go 300. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that's too much. Maybe if I increase this to 400. 400 is not too bad, but it's still disappearing a little bit too fast. Let me see what 500 does for me. I like 500. I think I'm going to keep 500, guys. 500 is going to be my new laser force speed. All right, so let's knock that out right there. Let's take away the rotation again. Make that 0. Okay. Put it back in the center-ish. And go back into my code. 4 seconds is pretty good if I have it at 500. My speed force, so keep that in mind, my speed force. I can change it and keep my speed force here. So I can say laser force equals, and we can say here 500. Okay, so that way I don't have to do it all the time, every time I get in there. So laser force is 500. Alright, so now every time I start my game, I don't have to mess with it anymore. Alright, so if that number is good for you, you leave it alone. If it wasn't good for you, then make some adjustments. Keep going back and forth like I was doing until you're satisfied, okay? At this time, if you don't have any questions, we're going to move on to the next iteration. All right, so now that we have, again, just reiterating what we just did, we're checking for input. We're using our fire key that's located in our input manager. We are creating a new laser and instantiating it from the position of the ship and rotating it in a forward position. We are creating a laser from the rigid body and adding force to it at relative force, and we are telling it to go up which is the nose pointing of the ship, and we're adding laser force, which is located right here. And I went ahead and locked in the speed for right now. This may change again, uh, depending on what direction I go. And then I am also destroying it after I have executed 4 seconds. Okay, so the next video will be about, we have now something to shoot at, and that'll be the asteroids, and we'll cover that in part 3. I'm trying to keep these videos short. I got carried away with my first one. I had a lot of information to put out, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to subscribe and like and comment. If you need any additional questions, I can answer them on that YouTube channel, or hit me up on the Schoology website. Okay? All right, this is Mr. Mancias signing off. Thank you for paying attention.